bracing for impact.
After devastating Central America as a tropical storm, Nate is strengthening right now, becoming a Category 1 hurricane, and it's making a beeline for our Gulf Coast.
And less than a day from landfall, Hurricane Nate is already making its mark on Dolphin Island.
You're watching a special edition of NBC 15 Today News. I'm Darwin Singleton.
And I'm Andrea Ramey. Thank you so much for joining us. NBC 15 reporters are on standby across the Gulf Coast from Dolphin Island east to Spanish Fort, Fairhope, and Gulf Shores. They are monitoring the conditions here as this already deadly storm moves north.
Now, Nate is leaving behind death and devastation in Central America. Take a look at these videos. It hit hard in Nicaragua, up to 15 inches of rain, turning roads like this into rivers.
Nate hit Central America as a weak tropical storm, but the impact was powerful. Heavy rain triggered flash flooding and mudslides in Costa Rica, killing at least 8 people there.
And similar conditions in Honduras. In total, NBC News reporting at least 25 dead, among them 2 children swept away in fast rising waters.
Now, Hurricane Nate is turning north and the Gulf Coast is bracing for a direct hit.
Right now, from Louisiana to Florida's Panhandle, coastal counties are under hurricane warnings. That includes you. NBC 15 meteorologist Kelly Foster in the Weather Center. She's tracking Nate with the latest information. Kelly?
Good morning, Darwin and Andrea. Good morning, everybody. We're already beginning to see swells impacting our shoreline, where we do have a hurricane warning in effect. The red flags are up. The waves are now crashing in. We have an east wind at 8. These winds are going to go much higher. Tropical storm force by this afternoon. Nate is located about 400 miles south of Mobile. It is a lopsided storm, the worst of it on the eastern side. And the bad news is it's expected to make landfall to our west. So we're going to be on the east side. East is beast anytime you have a hurricane landfall. And we're going to be on the right quadrant as it begins to barrel in. So we are going to have the potential for tornadoes as we head through this afternoon, storm surge up to about 10 feet, and of course hurricane force winds. So the pressure's dropping. It is at 986 millibars. The good thing about Nate, though, is he's a fast mover. He's moving towards the north-northwest at about 22 miles per hour, which will really inhibit it from strengthening further. Right now, it looks to make a landfall around 1 a.m., possibly near the Gulfport, Biloxi area. Again, we're going to be on the west side of it, and then rapidly racing north of Birmingham by around 1 p.m. Sunday, and then we're going to continue to watch it just race off into the eastern seaboard by Sunday afternoon. Water temperatures right now in the mid-80s. Speaking of hurricane warnings, Mobile and Baldwin County included in this all the way west towards Grand Isle, Louisiana. We have a hurricane watch for the Florida Panhandle. Tropical storm warnings for our inland zones. That storm surge 5 to 9 feet. Now along Mobile Bay and Alabama Barrier Islands, that storm surge could go as high as 10 feet. And again, we've been talking about that tornado threat east of the center. That does include our viewing area. Rain totals 3 to 6 inches, isolated spots up to 8 inches. Again, that landfall coming in around 1 a.m. So there's that storm surge warning for all of our coastal counties, Mobile and Baldwin. Then the hurricane watch for the Florida Panhandle. We're talking winds up to about 60 miles per hour as we head towards early Sunday morning. Again, we are expecting a Cat 1 hurricane, but we're not ruling out it could possibly reach Cat 2 status. We can't discount that quite yet, but as of right now, we're expecting a landfall at 90-mile-per-hour winds. We have a flash flood watch in effect through about Monday. Now, rain totals averaging close to 4 inches Mobile, higher amounts west of I-65. And when we show you the pinpoint predictor, notice those waves of rain this afternoon. There looks to be the eye near Gulfport. This is one model. This is at 1:40 Sunday morning. We'll stop the clock at 3:30. It looks like the eye is going to be in Stone County, Mississippi. Again, we're going to be on the worst side of it. So the potential for supercell thunderstorms, Baldwin County around 3:30 in the morning. Same for West Mobile and Jackson and George County. Then we're going to see that eye just north of Washington County, possibly into Jones County, Mississippi, and then it's just going to race on off. So you can see how fast this is moving. We'll take it to the streets, and it looks like you can see right now the Bankhead Tunnel is closed to traffic.
Thanks so much, Kelly. Hurricane Nate is already leaving its mark on Dauphin Island.
NBC 15 Zora Asbury joining us live now. And Zora, you were on the island yesterday morning. It was very nice and pleasant. It doesn't look that bad out there right now, but we're already getting reports down on the west end that things could be changing there.
That's right, Darwin. There is flooding reported on the west end, and I'm actually in the water right now, and the waves are a little bit stronger. They are crashing against the shoreline, stronger than they were yesterday. So we want to make sure that people have all of their plans in line and make sure that they do everything that they can to make sure that they are safe from this storm. But joining me today are a group of young ladies from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, right? Their mom gave them the okay, and it's actually, Ellie, it's your birthday, but you're leaving a day early because of the storm. So tell me about that.
Well, I don't know really.
Do you guys want to talk about the storm?
We were supposed to leave on Monday, and we came yesterday, Friday or Thursday. So we spent a perfect day at the beach, and then we're going home today.
So are you guys worried about the storm, or you're happy you're going to escape it in time?
I'm a little worried about the storm because sometimes
Storm surges.
because sometimes from Mexico trash can wash up into the ocean and really hurt the animals.
And you mentioned the storm surge, so what do you know about that?
It's when vehicles go missing by the huge wave that comes and takes them.
So would you advise people to stay inside then?
No, not stay inside the vehicles.
Stay inside their homes?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much and have so much fun and be safe, okay, when you guys make it back to Baton Rouge. These girls are going to get out of here a day early because of the storm, so we're going to continue to watch Hurricane Nate as it continues to make its way here to the Gulf Coast. And so you guys want to make sure to stick with us on air and online throughout the day. And we'll be doing wall-to-wall coverage on Dauphin Island here and in Mobile Bay. But for now, in Dauphin Island, Zora Asbury, NBC 15 News.
Breaking news right now, Beulah Battery under voluntary evacuations. This includes low-lying areas that are prone to flooding, especially mobile homes as well.
Joining us on the phone right now is the mayor of Beulah Battery, Terry Downey. And good morning, Mayor, I should say. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. And Mayor, do you expect people to heed these warnings?
I would hope so, but we've contacted all the networks and through our social media out at the Civic Center, the lady that handles that for us. We're reaching out and letting folks know that we're no stranger to this, but our concern is, of course, the wind, but the surge and people that are in low-lying areas that would heed this. There's some shelters that's open, but, it's strictly voluntary, but we're putting the word out. We're having another department head meeting here at 9:30 with our first responders, and it's a staff meeting, we have a agenda we go by for our hurricane preparedness because we've been at this a while, so that's how we begin, and having all our equipment ready to go. I've been just talked to the Ron Adair out of the emergency management, and they'll have another statement about 11 o'clock. So anyway, we're monitoring and doing everything possible to get ready, but I don't know if you ever get ready, but we're the wind and the rain, but not so much rain we can handle that. It's the surge and the wind and probably loss of power, but. Anyway, we've shut down our civic center and our parks, and we're in hopes to keep folks safe is our whole thing, that we get through this and continue on without anyone getting hurt.
Hey, Mayor, I'm wondering down there, we were looking at some pictures from Central and South America of this storm, actually Nicaragua and Honduras, where the water was so intense there in the rain that it caused so much flooding and even deaths down there. I'm just wondering, where in Beulah Battery is this the most vulnerable when it comes to storm surge and when it comes to heavy rains? What communities do you really worry about?
Well, we're concerned about Coden Belt and Stell Belt roads, which adjoin the beach, and that would be our front line and the surf comes in. Of course, we got our docks area, but it'll be vacated. But the homes that we hope that the homes on those roads and those that are back from there, they know about where the surf line will come. And we're hoping and praying that we doesn't have such a heavy surge that we can, above normal.
Okay. Well, Mayor, we're going to check back in with you as the storm progresses. We hope you don't mind if we do that.
Oh, that's fine. Anytime. We're glad to have your support and getting this word out to the folks. That yes, we have made arrangements, and our first responders will be on duty. We're ready to go.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, and we'll be checking back in with you a little bit later from Beulah Battery. That's the mayor down there. All right, we are looking at the hurricane hitting drivers hard if you're out on the road, no matter if this is a minor storm. And right now we don't know that it sure will be. We have to check and see. But you need to stay off the road. The Alabama Department of Transportation already closing some paths like the Bankhead Tunnel.
Our team coverage now takes us to Nicole Fierro, who is live there right now. Nicole, we hear crews were just there moments ago putting sandbags up on the doors there at the Bankhead Tunnel.
Yes, Andrew, they're continuing to do that right now. Let's take a look. You see these big concrete trucks? Well, they are filled with sand. You can see over 10 ALDOT crew members working hard, shoveling truckloads of sand into these bags right here, securing the doors of the Bankhead Tunnel. So as you can see here, going through this tunnel, that's not an option right now. They said they're doing this, preparing for Hurricane Nate, and it's not safe to go through this tunnel once severe weather hits. So drivers, you should stay off the roads once the weather hits, but if you do have to drive, you're gonna have to take Wallace Tunnel or the Cochran Bridge. Crews have been here for a while, since 7 a.m. and they're going to be here for at least another hour, just working hard to secure these doors here at the Bankhead Tunnel. We'll continue to bring you the latest throughout this hurricane, but for now, live at the Bankhead Tunnel, Nicole Fierro, NBC 15 News.
All right, Nicole, thank you so much.
All right, we've got much more to go in the special edition of NBC 15 today as we track now Hurricane Nate. We hope you stay with us.
NBC 15 weather with meteorologist Kelly Foster.
Good Saturday morning, everybody. We continue to track Hurricane Nate about 435 miles from Mobile, about 450 from Pensacola. A lopsided storm. The worst of Nate is located on the east side. We're talking thunderstorms and very fast winds, very displaced. Hurricane force winds, though, do extend from the center about 35 miles. Tropical storm force winds extend out about 125. And Nate continues to move at a very fast clip towards the northwest this morning at about 22 miles per hour. That is good news for us. We want Nate to race our way because the longer he sits in the Gulf of Mexico, the more it will have the potential to strengthen. Pressure right now at 986, set to make a landfall as a Cat 1 around 1 a.m. Sunday. This looks to be near Gulfport in the Biloxi area. And then we're going to see it move north of Birmingham as a tropical storm. That is Sunday afternoon, and then it just keeps on moving as we head towards late weekend. It's going to be moving off into the Atlantic once again. Water conditions right now as far as the temperature in the mid 80s. We have a hurricane warning for Mobile and Baldwin County in place. A hurricane watch for the Florida Panhandle. Our inland zones under a tropical storm warning. The big deal is going to be the storm surge. We have a storm surge warning in place for our coastal counties. Storm surge could average 5 to 9 feet. Now, Mobile Bay, Alabama Barrier Islands, we're talking the storm surge of about 10 feet. A tornado threat east of the center of Nate, which unfortunately means for us later this afternoon, rain totals 3 to 6 inches. Isolated spots west of I-65 up to 8. An early morning landfall we're anticipating in between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. We may have to move this back an hour or two, either move it backwards or forwards depending upon Nate's speed. But the most likely area right now looks to be the Mississippi Gulf Coast, right next door to us, about a county over. And again, Mobile and Baldwin County, those still in that forecast cone. We have a flash flood watch in effect. This is through Monday. The potential for flash flooding. Keep that in mind if you live in a low-lying area, if your neighborhood tends to flood, because these feeder bands that will be spiraling in could be really dealing with rain in the same locations as far as Nate moving inland. So again, as far as the rain totals, Mobile about 4 inches, zones west of I-65, we're talking 5 to 6, and isolated spots could receive up to 8 inches of rain. We're not ruling out those supercell thunderstorms east of the center with that tornado threat, and again, coastal flooding is definitely possible. Here's your pinpoint predictor. Now, during the morning hours, it's fine, primarily cloudy. The winds will begin to pick up a little bit. Watch what happens as we head towards this afternoon. We'll begin to see these waves of thunderstorms at 1:40. It looks like with this model, an eye moving in near Gulfport. And then you can see when we stop the clock at about 3:30 Sunday, that eye looks to be over Wiggins, Mississippi, which is Stone County, putting Mobile and Baldwin County on the eastern side. So this is when we could be looking at those super cell thunderstorms with tornadoes. Also West Mobile as well, Jackson and George County, 3:30 Sunday morning. By around 7:30, we are going to see the eye possibly over Washington County, and then it is going to rapidly race off. Sunday afternoon, we're going to have an improving weather condition locally. So again, we're really going to have to hunker down coming in later tonight into the early morning hours on Sunday. All right, choppy conditions for the boaters. Seas are going to average around 5 to 6 feet, could go higher. There's your 7-day forecast. And again, with the rain, we will begin to see an improving weather condition locally by midweek, but all eyes on deck as far as Nate.
Kelly, thanks. Right now, both Gulf Shores and Orange Beach are under local states of emergency. This means both cities will enforce a mandatory curfew beginning at 8 o'clock tonight through 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Also, until further notice, several areas will be closed to the public. This includes Gulf waters, public beaches and parking areas, Gulf State Pier, and all city facilities. And Jack Edwards National Airport also closing.
And according to Baldwin County officials, Orange Beach and Gulf Shores residents do not need a re-entry pass. They say those who live there will need proof of residency, though. Same with the folks who live in Biola Battery. Our team coverage continues right now. Alabama beaches and tourism taking a big hit from this storm.
NBC 15's James Gordon is live in Gulf Shores, where millions of locals and tourists travel every year to enjoy the beaches. But James, according to the U.S. Geological Survey, after Hurricane Nate, some of our beaches might be seeing some major erosion.
That's right. We're expecting a 3 to 5 foot surge this evening into Sunday morning. So, yes, that will cause the beach to erode, that is. But, you know, we've got the Shrimp Festival coming up next weekend right here at the same spot where I'm standing. And hopefully things will be back to normal by then. And hopefully the beaches won't be as bad as maybe are predicted when it comes to erosion. They've withstood other storms in the past, so hopefully that'll be the case as well. Double red flags, no swimming here in the Gulf. Police officers going up and down the Gulf, making sure folks do not get in the water. Again, you know, if someone would have woke up today here in Gulf Shores, they'd have thought, well, you know, what a nice day, because a nice easterly breeze, the sun's peeking through the clouds, but boy, do we know that's going to change later this evening. Also over here to my right, they're putting barricades down here at the public beach to make sure that nobody actually comes and parks here. They don't want people taking pictures and gawking out here at the public beach, mainly for their safety. Again, a lot of folks have already done that voluntary evacuation. A lot of folks living here have boarded up and brought their furniture in. So again, you know, this is just something folks have taken the precautions, the necessary precautions. Folks have heeded all the warnings, and hopefully everyone will be safe this evening into tomorrow morning. For now, we're live in Gulf Shores. James Gordon, NBC 15 News.
All right, James, we see officials there in Gulf Shores getting ready. Now we are going to go to NBC 15's Megan Gannon, who's joining us live from the Fairhope Pier.
Actually, she is on the Fairhope Pier, and Megan, you won't be standing there very much longer.
No, Darwin, definitely not. I'm standing here now because the weather is nice and really beautiful this morning, but that is just as deceiving as it sounds, because as Nate makes its way closer, that weather is going to be changing rapidly, as we've been talking about all morning. One thing I do want to take a look at is look at all these boats that are still parked here at the Fairhope Pier. At least a dozen or so still here. Now people are out here right now moving things off of their boats, tying them to make them more secure. I talked to one man who is actually getting ready to take his boat, head up the river and head to safer ground because of the storm surge that is going to come with Hurricane Nate. That's one thing he told me. He said, you know, I wasn't planning on leaving, but once I saw that the storm surge had increased and it was going to be, it couldn't get close to 10 feet, he decided that he was going to take his boat and he was going to leave. Again, people still out here monitoring their boats, taking things off of them, tying them tighter, and we're going to continue to monitor this situation out here, and especially what comes once Hurricane Nate makes landfall and hits our area. Reporting from Fairhope, Megan Gannon, NBC 15 News.
All right, Megan, thank you so much. Stay with us for continued special coverage this morning of Hurricane Nate.
That's right. We're going to talk to Kelly. We're going to bring her over from the Weather Center to see what we can expect over the next 12 to 48 hours. Stay tuned.
All right, welcome back. You are watching special coverage of Hurricane Nate on this Saturday morning.
Yeah, if you went to sleep and it was a tropical storm last night like I did, woke up this morning, it was already a hurricane. That was much faster than we expected. Kelly Foster, of course, usually on the desk weekday mornings with me. And now Jessica Townsend works behind the scenes a lot and with our Weather Nation channel. Jessica, as we look as the storm progresses inland, and we were talking about this just a moment ago, we think about the beaches, but when we get into Clark, Monroe, some of those inland counties, we're going to be thinking about them later today when the storm passes through.
Right, it's still going to be a tropical storm even as it hits Birmingham, right?
Right, the tropical storm warnings into Montgomery County, so they're going to experience a lot of gusty winds, heavy rain. They're going to still feel the effects, definitely.
Okay, so we don't want to forget about them, right?
Right.
All right, so you guys keep in mind, if you live north of the coastal counties, you're going to feel this for sure. That's right.
That's right. Well, this morning we do have a storm surge warning in effect due to Nate because it's going to be moving in and the storm surge in Mobile Bay all the way into our Alabama barrier islands could be up to about 10 feet. So we are going to have a lot of water getting piled up into our shoreline. So we're going to be watching for that. There's a look at the Gulf right now. The swells already beginning to be felt. Right now, Nate is about 435 miles from Mobile or about 450 from Pensacola. And guys, it's moving at a really fast clip, a very lopsided storm. The eastern side is where we're seeing all that storm action, and all of that's going to be moving into our area. So a tornado threat coming in later today, and of course with that storm surge and a flooding threat as well. So we do have some peaceful conditions for now. If you have any loose items around your home, make sure that you have everything tied down or bring it inside.
And now is the time to prepare.
And again, that landfall expected tonight around midnight, in between around 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning, just west of us. So we're going to be on the worst side of this.
All right.
Kelly, thank you so much.
Thank
Stay with
you.
us. We'll be right back in just 2 minutes. Bracing for impact. After devastating Central America as a tropical storm, Nate is now a Category 1 hurricane, and it is heading straight for our Gulf Coast.
We're glad you're with us for a special edition of NBC 15 today. I'm Darwin Singleton.
And I'm Andrea Ramey. Thank you so much for joining us. NBC 15 reporters are on standby across the Gulf Coast, from Mobile and Dauphin Island east to Fairhope and Gulf Shores. They are monitoring the conditions here as this already deadly storm moves north.
But first, we want to get the latest. Let's go to meteorologist Kelly Foster. She's in the Weather Center tracking this storm, and it looks like Nate's getting itself together.
Yeah, hurricane hunters have been flying in, and of course they have deemed that Nate is stronger. It's still a Category 1, but it is beginning to intensify. It's moving in these warmer waters of the Gulf of Mexico, and it's a very one-sided storm, the worst of it on the eastern side. And unfortunately for us, Nate is expected to make landfall to our west. So we're going to be on the side that we say east is beast, the worst of it, that right quadrant, and that's where we could have that tornado potential, storm surge, flash flooding. And right now it's about 430 miles from Mobile or about 450 from Pensacola. It is racing towards our slice of the Gulf Coast, and it's moving at about 22 miles per hour this morning towards the north-northwest. Now max sustained winds are at 85 miles per hour, set to make a landfall in between midnight and about 2 a.m. in the morning. So we're saying around 1 a.m. and this could be even in Jackson County, Mississippi. So we're going to be watching this. The storm surge threat will be right along the center and to the east, which means for us, we are under a storm surge warning. This is going to be a fast mover. So that's the silver lining with Nate. We don't want him to sit and spin. The longer he sits in the Gulf of Mexico, the more he can gain strength and of course send more water our way. So he's going to be moving on out. In fact, he will be exiting the eastern seaboard as we head into Tuesday. Water temps in our backyard in the mid 80s. Let's talk rain totals. We could see close to 4 inches of rain from Mobile, higher amounts west of I-65. We could even be looking at rain totals up to 8 inches of rain where those feeder bands spiral inland and the rain begins to repeat itself over certain areas. Now this morning we're starting out quiet at 7 o'clock. We'll begin to see our wave of rain coming in at 3 o'clock where we could be looking at some thunderstorms that could really ramp up and pack a punch. When we stop the clock at 1:40, this model is grabbing an eye near the Gulfport area, and that would put us on the east side. So you can see these red thunderstorm cells could have the potential to produce some spin-ups around 3:30 in the morning over Wiggins. This is Stone County, which means Jackson and George County could be looking at hurricane force winds with supercell thunderstorms possibly producing tornadoes, and Baldwin County really in line for some active severe weather. Then 7:30 this morning it races, looks to be parts of the eye over Washington County, and you can see how fast it's moving. Then it's gone as we head through the afternoon. So this is going to be a fast mover. There's that storm surge warning. Again, Mobile Bay and our Alabama barrier islands, we can't rule out a storm surge as high as 10 feet, but it should average in between 5 to 9 feet. We do have a hurricane warning, Mobile and Baldwin County, hurricane watch for the Florida Panhandle. Again, a tornado threat east of the center. Isolated rain totals up to 8 inches and big swells at the beach. Dangerous rip currents. Again, an early morning landfall. This is also dangerous because this is when a lot of folks are asleep. It looks like right now the likely area for landfall would be along the Mississippi Gulf Coast, but Mobile, Baldwin County, we're still in the forecast cone. We do have a flash flood watch in effect. This is for our entire viewing area. And again, we could see a few supercell thunderstorms with Nate east of the center. So we'll be watching for that tornado threat. As far as the boaters, choppy conditions, seas 5 to 6 feet. And then here is a look at your 7-day forecast. It's going to be a rough weekend. We'll have an improvement though as we head towards Sunday afternoon, and still a few showers Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And here's a look at traffic for you this morning, or a live look at Gulfport, Mississippi. And this is where we think that Nate is going to strike. Near the Gulfport area, you can see ominous skies, very dark clouds. And by the way, Darwin and Andrea, they've had a big event. A lot of folks are in town, thousands and thousands, for Cruising the Coast, a big event.
Yeah.
So a lot of folks are going to have to evacuate those antique cars.
Okay, that's Bob Pack. He's a storm chaser. He is on South US 49. If you're used to going to Gulfport, and here he goes. If you're used to driving into Gulfport, this is the main drag. It's kind of like Airport Boulevard going south to Gulfport to the beach, Andrea.
Right, and as Kelly mentioned, very ominous looking clouds, and this is where we are anticipating Nate to make landfall sometime early Sunday morning. Again, thanks to Livestreams Media and storm chaser Bob Pack for bringing us this live video.
We'll try to check in with them from time to time if we can, and see how those skies are. But yeah, you can already tell the skies this morning were a little bit clearer. Now they're starting to get heavier. This is going to intensify as the day goes along, and that wind will start cranking up very soon. But you got more on that.
Well, the high winds and storm surge from Hurricane Nate are already leaving a mark on Dauphin Island.
That's right, NBC 15 Zora Asbury joining us live on Dauphin Island right now. The waves are growing, part of the island. We are hearing, Zora, starting to get a little overwashed by some of the surf being kicked up, and that happens on the west end a lot.
That's right. We spoke with the mayor of Dauphin Island, Jeff Collier, and he does say that the west end of the island is the first to usually get flooded here. But as far as the conditions right here on the beach where I am, it is a little bit windy, and those swells that Kelly was talking about, we're starting to see these waves get a little bit higher, and they're starting to crash against the shoreline here. So we are starting to see the wind pick up right now, but no rain at this hour. But we're going to continue to monitor these conditions. We are expecting a storm surge, as Kelly has mentioned multiple times, a pretty large storm surge between 6 to 10 feet, and then also some significant flooding. And as Mayor Collier talked about earlier, people are going to have these little tags and permits that allow them to get back on the island after the storm. So you want to make sure to look out for that, and make sure if you have not, go to City Hall to get that as well. But we're going to be out here right now. It's pretty calm, not too much going on. But we do start to see these waves crashing into the shoreline a little bit harder than they were yesterday. So we're going to continue to follow these conditions, and you can also follow us online and my Twitter page, Zora Asbury TV, for the latest updates here on Dauphin Island. Reporting, Zora Asbury, NBC 15 News.
Zora, thank you. Mobile County is opening 4 shelters in less than 2 hours. Officials are encouraging anyone in low-lying coastal areas to head to a shelter if they feel unsafe. The shelters are at Collins Roads Elementary, Theodore High School, North Mobile Middle, and Burns Middle. The shelter at Burns will be for people with medical and special needs. It's designed for people with Alzheimer's or people dependent on life support, oxygen, or chemotherapy. They ask you to bring your own medical supplies, equipment, and a caregiver. County leaders say opening the shelters is just a precaution.
For those individuals that may not feel particularly safe where they are, and if they don't have a place to go, don't have family or friends somewhere else in the county they can go stay with, and they're certainly welcome to come to one of the shelters.
And if you're going to a shelter and have pets, you need to drop them off at the Mobile SPCA this morning until 3 o'clock this afternoon.
And Andrea, the mayor in Biola Battery is saying that if you want to get out, voluntary evacuations there now, so you can head to one of those shelters now that you know where they are if you feel like you're in a flood-prone area in Biola Battery. Now, Alabama Power is staging crews in advance of this storm. Those crews will have additional supplies on hand, including fuel.
Also, 200 additional Alabama Power crews from North Alabama are on standby to come down here as needed.
If you lose power and need to report or check on an outage, call 800-888-2726. But the easiest way is to go online at alabamapower.com. They actually have a button you can click to find out where the outages are, just to see if maybe some of your family's affected.
And if you haven't already, now is a great time to look over your storm preparedness list and make sure your supplies are well stocked.
You never know until the last minute exactly where it's going to turn and hit you or your neighboring state, but we have to be prepared. You just can't take it for granted.
A basic emergency supply kit includes water, 1 gallon per person per day for at least 3 days. Food, at least a 3-day supply of non-perishable food.
Well, we want to remind you that you need to be prepared for 3 days if you're going to be enduring a storm. Although this thing's moving so fast, not likely that we're going to have to do that unless there's some damage because of the storm. Now, once the hurricane hits our area, drivers should try to stay off the road. Alabama Department of Transportation already closing some paths like the Bankhead Tunnel.
That's right. Our team coverage now takes us to NBC 15's Nicole Fierro, who is there right now. Nicole, crews were just there. See them right there behind you, putting the sandbags up to prevent water from getting in the Bankhead Tunnel.
Absolutely, Andrea and Darwin. 2 trucks, large cement trucks, just pulled out of this area after dumping both truckloads in these bags right here that say Waterside. Crews are securing the Bankhead Tunnel. So as you can see, this is not an option for drivers. And I'm going to walk out here just to show you this whole area is closed. You can see the cones out there. Drivers, you're going to have to use the Cochran Bridge or Wallace Tunnel if you are driving. Again, once the weather hits, we're not recommending that anyone gets out on the road. You want to stay safe at home, but if you do, you're going to have to use Wallace Tunnel or the Cochran Bridge. And one last look before we send it back to you at just crews have been here all morning. At 7 o'clock they closed this tunnel, but they've been working nonstop, putting so much sand to secure the doors of this tunnel. So we're going to send it back to you, but for now, live at the Bankhead Tunnel, I'm Nicole Fierro, NBC 15 News.
All right, Nicole, thank you again. Bankhead Tunnel closed in anticipation of Hurricane Nate coming to the Gulf Coast.
And our coverage, our special Local 15 Today coverage continues in just a moment, so please stay with us.
NBC 15 weather with meteorologist Kelly Foster.
Good Saturday morning, everybody. Big swells and Gulf shores, all of this due to Hurricane Nate. Now in the central Gulf of Mexico, hurricane hunters flew in there and they are finding Nate is stronger. It is still at Cat 1 status, but we're not ruling out Cat 2 status possible at landfall. That window was small, but there is the potential for it to strengthen. We cannot discount that. This morning we have an east wind at 10 for Mobile, an east wind at 15 for Gulf Shores. We will have tropical storm force winds as early as this afternoon, and then tonight hurricane force winds are likely. Here's a look at Nate right now. A very lopsided storm. The worst of the weather is on the eastern side right now. It's loaded with tropical moisture, loaded with thunderstorms, and we are anticipating right now a landfall to our west in Mississippi, about a county or two away. So we're going to be on the worst side of Nate. If you live in a low-lying area, take precaution now because we do have quiet weather conditions. But of course, as the day wears on, we are going to begin to see those feeder bands spiraling in, the winds picking up, and you're not going to be able to do too much if you wait. So here's a look at Nate. This is racing at a very good clip towards the north-northwest at about 22 miles per hour. hour. And that's a good thing for us, this fast movement, because the faster it moves in the Gulf of Mexico, the less time it has to strengthen. It is a Category 1 right now. Max sustained winds at 85. We are expecting winds at 90 miles per hour at landfall. Could happen between midnight and 1 a.m. Jackson County landfall possible. We could see a Harrison County landfall. We're anticipating this to be near Gulfport or Biloxi. Hurricane force winds extend out from the center about 35 miles, and we could be about 35 miles from this storm. So hurricane force winds are definitely possible, and tropical storm force winds extend out from the center 125 miles. Here's the thing. This is going to be racing at a very fast pace. We're going to see this as a tropical storm near Birmingham as early as lunchtime on Sunday, and then of course a remnant low. It's going to move back out into the Atlantic as a remnant low on Tuesday. We do have a hurricane warning in effect for Mobile and Baldwin County, and the reason we're not ruling out intensification is these water temperatures are extremely warm right now in the mid to upper 80s. As far as rain totals, 3 to 6 inches. Mobile could see 4. Western areas of I-65 could see 8. Now, it's going to be a quiet morning. Waves of storm action moving in at 3 o'clock south of I-10, Mobile County. And this model trying to latch onto an eye near Gulfport. That would be around 1:40 in the morning. Again, we're going to be on the eastern side where a lot of storm surge. Notice all the red here. This is an indication of thunderstorm cells. We're going to stop the clock at 3:30. It looks to be over Wiggins in Stone County, Mississippi, which means Jackson and George County looking at extremely dangerous hurricane winds, and then also Baldwin County. Look at all these red thunderstorms. So we could be looking at a tornado threat while many of you are sleeping. 7:30 Sunday morning, we could see the eye near Washington County. So this is going to be a fast mover, and then it's out. So it looks like we could even salvage Sunday afternoon. Storm surge warning in effect. Mobile Bay, Alabama Barrier Islands, talking about up to 5 to 9 feet above ground level. We're not ruling out even a storm surge of 10 feet. So hurricane warning, Mobile, Baldwin, hurricane watch, the Florida Panhandle, tropical storm warning inland. Again, that storm surge is going to be a big threat. Tornado threat as well while many of you are sleeping. And of course, we are expecting that landfall to be in Mississippi. And we do have a flash flood watch in effect. And again, make sure that you have a center portion of your home to go to should you fall under that tornado warning as well. And there's your 7-day improving weather conditions by the early part of the week.
Kelly, thank you. Hurricane Nate set to hit Alabama beaches very hard.
That's right. Less than a day to landfall, and officials are already put up the double red flags. They have all the way over to Fort Walton Beach in Destin. NBC 15's James Gordon is live in Gulf Shores this morning. And what's it looking like out there right now? I see the winds whipping up a little bit more on you, James.
That's right, John. You know, the biggest change here on the beach in the last 20 minutes or so has been the wind speed. I would say about an hour ago we were talking about maybe 10-mile-an-hour winds. Now it's this is just a guess, but it's bumped up to probably about 13, 15 miles an hour. Again, that probably is a sign that those outer bands are probably getting closer and closer. The surf hasn't changed all that much, but of course the Gulf is churning out there. Rip currents are very strong, and that is why this beach is closed. Double red flags. Done a pretty good job of clearing the beach. They put barricades up on the parking lots, you know, basically telling folks not to come to the beach today. You see some stragglers on the sides there. Those are folks who perhaps are staying at condos and hotels outside of the public beach area. But then again, those folks too need to heed the warning and not get in the water. Folks here have taken this very, very seriously over the last couple of days. The Gulf State Park had a mandatory evacuation for the RVs and the campers because, of course, those small structures probably couldn't withstand the winds that we were expecting in this area. Other folks around here, businesses, some of them have boarded up. Others have brought in their patio furniture. But then again, it's more of a watching and waiting type of thing. But people here have taken all the warnings seriously, and they're just waiting for Nate to make its way to the Gulf Coast, and so are we, and of course we hope it moves out of here quickly. Now we're live in Gulf Shores. James Gordon, NBC 15 News.
All right, and maximum sustained winds right now in this storm are 85 miles per hour. Nothing to sneeze at. Our coverage continues with NBC 15's Megan Gannon. She's joining us from the Fairhope Pier.
And Megan, what's it looking like there? Is it getting a little bit windier there?
Definitely getting a little bit windier, but one thing I've also noticed since we've been out here this morning, when I started earlier, I told you guys how beautiful the weather was because the sun was shining and it felt nice. Now these clouds have rolled in. It's really overcast out here now at the Fairhope Pier, but it's not steering away anybody that's out here. We've got people on both ends of the pier. They are fishing, enjoying this weather while they can. They say that they are prepared for this storm, but they wanted to get out and enjoy the weather while they can. Still, we have these boats that are here, a lot more people out here packing their boats up, getting ready to either tie them down tighter or get out of Dodge and head to higher ground. One man said he is heading up the river and getting ready to just head to higher ground and make sure that he is safe during this storm. So that's one thing we are going to continue to monitor as the day progresses and as Hurricane Nate draws near and draws to our Gulf Coast area, is the boats that are left behind, what's going to happen to them, how much damage is that going to cause here at the Fairhope Pier. So that is what we are going to be continuing to monitor. Fairhope, City of Fairhope did release a statement. The City of Fairhope and the Fairhope Police Department, there is a little bit of extra duty out there, a little extra presence on the streets just to make sure that everybody is safe today and into tomorrow as Hurricane Nate draws closer. Reporting from Fairhope, Megan Gannon, NBC 15 News.
All right, Megan, thank you so much, and keep it right here on NBC 15 News. We will be continuing our special coverage of Hurricane Nate.
And we're going to take a live look at New Orleans right now, where a hurricane warning has been issued for metropolitan New Orleans as well, and some low-lying areas are being evacuated in that metropolitan area. Not in the quarter, not in most of the city, but some areas have been ordered to evacuate. Today, Mobile Regional Airport closing early for Hurricane Nate. They'll close their doors at 4 and open tomorrow at noon. All flights up until closing time will remain on schedule. We're also hearing just now that travel waivers, in other words, you can change your travel without being charged extra. Travel waivers now being issued at Mobile Regional from United, American, and Delta. That's some good news. Now, it's the same story in Pensacola when it comes to closure. Pensacola International Airport is now closed. They were originally planning to close tonight at 8, but they decided to close 12 hours early because they're in the hurricane watch area. They plan to reopen on Monday.
And starting this morning, all classes are canceled on all University of South Alabama campuses. That includes the Baldwin County campus. University officials say students will be allowed to stay on campus and the dining hall will operate on a normal schedule. As of right now, classes are set to resume Monday. Also, Bishop State Community College will be closed Monday. They're set to continue classes on Tuesday.
And also the Wave Transit System announced it's suspending all bus services starting today at 3 o'clock. And folks hoping to cruise on the Carnival Fantasy this weekend are going to have to cancel those plans due to the approaching storm. The Port of Mobile closed today, preventing the Fantasy from making its return to the port city, so some folks are getting some extra cruise days in. Several churches also canceling Sunday morning service. You can find the list of all the closures on our website, mynbc15.com. And if you have a closure you'd like us to announce, email us at news@mynbc15.com. We'll go to the break. We'll be right back.
We will have an update on Nate at 10 a.m. We'll get brand new information, but the hurricane hunters are finding Nate a little bit stronger, 430 miles from Mobile, expected to make a landfall around 1 a.m. Sunday, possibly near Gulfport, Mississippi, and we would be on the western side. You can see it's moving fast. That's a good thing, guys. It's moving at 22 miles per hour. There's that landfall to our west. I want to thank Jessica Townsend for all her help this morning.
Yeah, and thank you so much for watching our special coverage here on NBC 15 of Hurricane Nate. We will be back here at noon with more coverage.